The first chapter of The Art of War, Initial Estimations, contains just over 400 Chinese characters, yet it is required reading in business schools worldwide. It is not about how to fight. It is about how to decide the outcome before taking any action. The opening line reads, "War is a matter of vital importance to the state, the province of life and death, the road to survival or ruin. It must be thoroughly studied." The same applies to business decisions. The core ideas of initial estimations can be summarized in 3 layers. First, conduct tempo calculations using the 5 fundamentals and 7 comparisons. Second, employ deceptive tactics to strike where the enemy is unprepared. Finally, remember that more calculation leads to victory. Less calculation leads to defeat. Today, we will use just one company, Netflix, to fully unpack these 3 layers. From how it outcalculated Blockbuster, to how it outmaneuvered Hollywood with deception, to every strategic pivot it makes today. You will see that every step Netflix took was already written on bamboo strips 2,500 years ago. Sun Tzu said that to determine who will win a war, you must first perform tempo calculations using the 5 fundamentals and 7 comparisons. The 5 fundamentals are the way, heaven, earth, command, and method. Let us compare Netflix and Blockbuster in the early 2000s. First, the way, Sun Tzu explains. The way means that the people are in complete agreement with their ruler. In business, this means alignment between corporate mission and customer interest. Blockbuster's core business model was late fees, charging customers for returning DVDs late. Late fees generated over $800 million annually. Customers hated it, but Blockbuster didn't care. What did Netflix do? It introduced a subscription model with no due dates and no late fees. Customer and company interests became perfectly aligned. The more you watch, the more value you get. That is the victory of the way. Second, heaven. Heaven means timing and macro trends. Blockbuster clung to physical stores, while Netflix saw that internet bandwidth was growing rapidly. DVD by mail was just a transition. Streaming was the endgame. Netflix began investing in streaming 7 years before its rival. Third, Earth. Earth means the chosen battlefield. Blockbuster's heavy asset stores were its ground of death, high costs for rent, labor, and inventory. Netflix chose a light asset, remote battlefield. No stores, only distribution centers and postal networks. Its cost structure was over 40% lower than Blockbuster's. Fourth, command, the quality of the general. Sun Tzu demands wisdom, integrity, courage, severity, and humanity. Netflix's Reed Hastings is an engineer by training, rational, data-driven, and willing to disrupt himself. Blockbuster, on the other hand, went through several CEOs, none of whom truly understood the impact of the internet. Fifth, method, organization, and discipline. Netflix's famous freedom and responsibility culture deck emphasizes high talent density, radical candor, and minimal process control. Blockbuster was a traditional bureaucratic retail organization. Compare the 5 fundamentals, and the outcome is already clear. Sun Tzu said, "These 5 fundamentals are known to every general. Those who master them win. Those who do not lose." Netflix not only knew them but executed them. After the 5 fundamentals, Sun Tzu introduces the 7 comparisons. 7 dimensions to compare. Which ruler has the way? Which general has greater ability? Who has the advantage of heaven and earth? Whose laws and orders are better followed? Whose troops are stronger? Whose soldiers are better trained? Whose rewards and punishments are clearer? Let's revisit the famous scene. In 2000, Netflix had only 300,000 subscribers and was losing money. Reed Hastings flew to Dallas to meet Blockbuster CEO John Antioco, offering to sell Netflix for $50 million. Antioco refused on the spot. At the time, Blockbuster had 8,000 stores, over 100 million customers, and billions in annual revenue. Why did Blockbuster refuse? Because it ran the 7 comparisons and believed it was superior in every way. But it miscalculated, or rather, it used the wrong metrics. Netflix's 7 comparisons looked completely different. Which ruler has the way? The customer stood with Netflix. Which general has greater ability? Hastings understood technology trends better. Who has the advantage of heaven and earth? Netflix bet on the future streaming. Whose laws and orders are better followed? Netflix's organization was far more agile. Whose troops are stronger? Troops here means core assets. Blockbuster's assets were stores and inventory, depreciating. Netflix's assets were algorithms and user data, appreciating. Whose soldiers are better trained? Netflix's engineering team was vastly superior to Blockbuster's IT department. Whose rewards and punishments are clearer? Netflix used the keeper test. Any manager asks, if this employee wanted to leave, would I fight to keep them? If no, give a generous severance and let them go. Blockbuster had no such culture. The result of the temple calculation. Netflix had more favorable factors. Blockbuster had fewer. Sun Tzu said, more calculation leads to victory. Less calculation leads to defeat. How much more so for no calculation at all? Blockbuster did calculate, but it used industrial-era algorithms to fight an information-age war. 10 years later, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy, while Netflix's market cap exceeded $200 billion after temple calculations. Sun Tzu moves to the tactical level. War is based on deception. Therefore, when capable, feign incapacity. When active, feign inactivity. Strike where the enemy is unprepared. Appear where you are unexpected. In business history, almost no company has mastered feigning incapacity better than Netflix. 3 examples. First, from no original content to House of Cards. Around 2010, Netflix was just a content distributor. Everyone assumed it lacked the capability to produce original shows. But Netflix secretly committed $100 million for 2 seasons of House of Cards, without even shooting a pilot. Traditional TV executives in Hollywood never saw it coming. While they were unprepared, Netflix jumped straight into the top tier of content production. Second, from no ads to launching an ad-supported tier. Reed Hastings repeatedly stated publicly, Netflix will never have ads. In 2022, Netflix announced an ad-supported subscription plan. Competitors were caught off guard because Netflix's long-standing feigning inactivity had lulled them into complacency. This is when active, feign inactivity. Third, from no theaters to acquiring cinemas. Netflix had long insisted on simultaneous online and offline releases, which was boycotted by traditional theater chains. In 2023, it quietly acquired 2 historic theaters in Los Angeles. While everyone thought it would remain a pure streaming player, it had already begun infiltrating physical exhibition. Strike where the enemy is unprepared. Appear where you are unexpected. Every major strategic pivot by Netflix lands exactly where competitors least expect it, because before taking action, Netflix uses deception to create cognitive blind spots, the end of initial estimations. Sun Tzu concludes, those who win before fighting have made many calculations. Those who lose before fighting have made few calculations. Netflix's story perfectly proves this. Before it ever truly went to war, whether against Blockbuster in DVD rentals or against Hollywood in streaming content, it had already used the 5 fundamentals and 7 comparisons to understand exactly why it could win. 3 iron rules for entrepreneurs and business leaders. First, do not calculate using your opponent's dimensions. Blockbuster counted stores and subscriber numbers. Netflix counted algorithms and user experience. Different dimensions lead to different conclusions about victory and defeat. Second, feigning incapacity is not deception. It is strategic ambiguity. Netflix repeatedly said, we will never run ads, and then did. That is not a broken promise. It is maximizing the opponent's unpreparedness at the critical moment. Third, initial estimation is not a one-time event. Netflix moved from DVD by mail to streaming, to original content, to advertising, to cinemas. Before each pivot, it performed a new temple calculation. Strategy is not set in stone. It is calculated, recalculated, and recalculated again. This is the first episode of our initial estimation series, featuring just one case study, Netflix. In the next episode, we will use another Western business giant to unpack the second chapter of The Art of War, Waging War. Stay tuned. If you are interested in this series, let me know in the comments which company you would like to see next. See you next time.